done with the best intentions.
Right, and it's the same now.
Exactly.
It's
That's what I'm
the
saying
same now.
with the stop and frisk. That was the same thing. Not done with bad intentions.
And also with so much closed circuit TV.
They're watching everything now.
And not only that, but the surveillance of the ability of law enforcement agencies to pick up everything from a cell phone tower.
Exactly.
Which is so helpful to police work, but yet it is, what's the balance? That's always, I see this in America. We're always having arguments, and thank God we have them.
Right. But yeah, it is of concern, and it was of concern back then, believe it or not.
Sure. That's so interesting. Yeah. So, what about your first book?
Well, the first book is called Justifiable Homicide. It's a police thriller. I started out, I wanted to write a book. I really am not a trained writer per se. I mean, my degree is not in writing or anything.
Me either.
I took a couple courses, but I thought I could do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started. My father, he was an English teacher. I said, hey, Dad, take a look.
Perfect.
And he kind of liked it. And we decided to join forces. One of the reasons, it sounds crazy today, that we joined forces is I really wanted to buy a word processor because I was a horrible typist, and my handwriting, I can't read after I write it. Mm-hmm. But those units back then were $2,500. They were expensive. And the teachers got a discount because they were teachers and IBM was putting in these new systems. And it still cost us over $3,000 in 1986. Can you imagine?
Yep.
I mean, that's probably like $15,000 today. So we shared the cost. And then what would happen is that we talked about this book idea I had. And Justifiable Homicide is, back then, Colombian drug dealers were wreaking havoc in South America and Colombia. And of course, a lot of drugs were coming here. Everybody we arrested, I remember when I was a desk officer in the precinct, every time we emptied their pockets, there was these crack vials. Crack was all over the place. People don't remember how bad it was. Like, young people can't imagine how strung out people were and what they would do for this crack. They would steal anything.
Yes.
Right from you. So, and in Colombia, the elections, these drug dealers, they killed this whole Supreme Court. They didn't have any, they didn't care. So my idea was, well, what would happen if this idea, these Colombians decided they were going to try to do that stuff in New York City? Take over, kill a mayor. And so that was the idea.
Like they do in Colombia.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they import, that's why we're always so worried about the borders. In the book, the guy comes across the border, and he's able to get in, and not to give the whole plot away, but he's successful in killing the mayor. And then the book is about this investigation on trying to catch the guys.
Oh, yes.
Everywhere, one side says, I can do this. The other side says,
no, you can't.
And then we're having these
conflicts. Yes. So let me ask you, from the standpoint of an author, which was easier to, I'm going to say, make more successful, the nonfiction book or the fiction book?
Well, I would say they're different in that sense, but the nonfiction book, you actually get more interest in because there's so many novels coming out.
Yes.
Every day there's new novels. When Justifiable Homicide was published by Ballantine, which is in Random House, they put out 10 that month. So it wasn't going to get much play. It should have. They make a lot of promises when you sign a book deal, but when push comes to shove, one of those books is going to be the one they're going to push, and the other ones are out there, and they're nice books. Whereas this book, actually, I've got a lot more attention. Not only being here, but I've been on Metro Focus on Channel 13. I was on Discovery ID. I narrated one of their crime shows. We had a review in the New York Times, which we never had before, and there was in the Post and covered in England in their Daily Mail. They picked up the story, and the Irish Voice here. So we had a lot more opportunities to get publicity for the book.
Right.
Than we did for the paper.
Well, if you have a nonfiction niche, you do very well.
Right.
I think, and because you're right, fiction there's just too much competition.
Right.
But I'm basing this basically on just instinct and the little things that I've picked up. But I think the New York City Police Department and the London Police Department probably work very closely together.
Well, we have detectives in London, we have them in Paris, and we have them in other cities around the world, and I believe there is a sharing of information, especially in the way we're concerned about terrorists right now.
Yes, yeah, that's the big concern now. It's frightening.
And actually, the New York City Police Department, it was kind of modeled after the London Police Department. We sent our guys to London
To be
to
trained.
learn what they were doing in the early 1900s. How are they controlling traffic? You know, when these cars are going. If you ever see a street scene back then, it's very chaotic.
Oh, yes.
And people went to court to stop the police from telling them which direction to go on the street and to stop at a street corner. And a judge who ended up becoming mayor put an injunction against us from holding the traffic here so traffic could pass this way. They said, it's America, you should be able to go wherever you want to go, whenever you want.
That's America.
But eventually, sanity prevailed. And now, you know, we have traffic control, though you wouldn't know it in Manhattan either. It's still as bad as it ever was, so.
Well, I don't know, I drive in the city. I'm one of those brave people that I just don't look behind me when I
That's
drive in the
slow.
city. But then you have all those closed circuit cameras
they're
watching you,
Bus
so you can't
lanes.
get away with anything.
They send you a ticket in the mail.
I know. I haven't gotten one in the city, I've gotten one in Suffolk County. And actually, there was a story on television about how that camera was faulty.
Oh.
But you couldn't fight it anyway, so I just said,
You
take
can't
the
beat
ticket and whatever. But I'm going to ask you to make a prediction. What do you think the direction of the police department is going to be in the next few years? What things are they going to concentrate on?
Well, we are really trying to keep the city from suffering one of those attacks like recently in Paris,
Yes.
in India and Mumbai, where they go in a hotel. We've really shifted our focus on what they, when I was on patrol, what would happen, we would get there and then they would bring in a hostage negotiator to talk with the person and try to talk them out of it. You can't do that now because they're shooting the whole time. So now there's no more,
Have that belt.
there's no more talking with them.
Right.
Their decision is to kill as many people as quick as possible. So now we have to go in. And that is a big shift in strategy on how to deal with these situations.
Yeah, you're doing pretty much what the guys did in Iraq, or still doing in
Right.
Iraq, in cleaning out a nest of terrorists.
Exactly,
So-
but the patrolman is, we have a pistol, we have a nice weapon,
Right,
no doubt, but, and we have our protective
vest, yeah.
body gear, but these guys are heavily armed from what we've seen, and but that is a big change in the way we do business. I also think that if you see police back years ago, you know, they almost wear like a suit on patrol. You wear a tie.
Right, right.
You look like a gentleman. Your gun isn't exposed.
Even-
Now everything is exposed.
Yeah,
It's a big
yes,
change in the philosophy of how we present ourselves to the public.
Exactly.
Right now, you see us, you know, we mean business.
Do you have a plan for another book? You're going to do a sequel?
Well, I'm doing, right now I'm doing a book for Hatchet Press. They are one of the largest in the world on the history of crime in New York City.
Excellent.
There's,
And we're done.
okay.
I got you to say your new book, The
Okay.
History of Crime in New York City.
Okay.
Thanks for being
All
on
right,
the show.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, that half hour goes.